And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience, and I've continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you. On today's episode of the FB Show, we are continuing our Week 2 game previews, breaking down every single NFL Week 2 game, all through the lens of fantasy football. Up next, we are talking the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. So if you're excited for this game, be sure to hit that like button down below like an open receiver downfield, Josh Allen style, and also smash that subscribe button down below like a power running back up the middle so that you never miss a video from me. You can also follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. So for any sort of fantasy football content, I do a lot of stuff over there, especially Twitter. That's the main one. And also my DMs are on in every single social media location. So if you have any start-sit questions, trade offers, or waiver wire pickups, that's where you can hit me up to inquire about those. All right, let's get rolling here. Is there anything else? No, we're good. We're good. Let's roll, shall we? So Bills at Dolphins. The over-under for this game is 41 points, and the Bills are favored by 5.5. Why do we note these things? Because Vegas knows, right? Vegas is about making money. So if they have an inclination of which way a game's going to go, it's just important to note for fantasy football reasons. All right, let's go into some game notes, some things that happened last week, some injuries, things of that nature, just so we can kind of get on the same page for the outlook of this game. Davonte Parker, wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, was limited in practice on Friday. He was pulled from the game on Sunday early due to that hamstring injury, and I'm not sure what his status is. It would not shock me if Davante Parker did not play on Sunday, because I feel like you don't just miss. Like I don't feel like you get pulled from a game and then just automatically are up and ready for the next one a week later, especially with a lingering injury like that. He was battling it all offseason long, especially during training camp, so it would not shock me to see him miss this week versus the Bills. Preston Williams was a full participant in practice coming off of that ACL injury, so he looks to be up and ready to go for Week 2. Tua Tagovailoa, their first-round draft pick, quarterback out of Alabama. He was off the injury report for the first time this week, which means he is 100% healthy. Battling back from that broken hip that he suffered in college. So I think Tua, that's the thing, right? With Fitzpatrick last week, Fitzpatrick stayed in, I think, because they didn't fully trust Tua to go out there, right? They want to make sure that their guy is fully healthy and that you're not going to throw your rookie quarterback out there who's already battling back from an injury with the potential to get hurt again. So this signals to me that they are ready. So if Fitzpatrick does play poorly again and throws another 3 interceptions, I think Tua time is actually going to be on the horizon and pretty likely. Shifting over to the Buffalo Bills here, there's no injuries of note here. A few things that I want to mention are Zack Moss and Devin Singletary. I just want to briefly bring them up before we dive into the start sit a little bit here. Actually, no, we're going to save that for the start sit. So I guess I'm just going back to the Dolphins then. Myles Gaskin led the Dolphins in carries last week. Myles Gaskin. And you're probably thinking, who? And I was saying similar things this week as well. He's a second-year running back, a guy that apparently they like a lot, and they were playing it pretty close to the vest, right? All offseason long, they bring in Jordan Howard, they bring in Matt Breida, and Myles Gaskin's the guy that leads the team in carries. He only had 9, which admittedly is, not a lot for a starting running back. But if you are in Dynasty, this is his second year in the NFL, so just a name to keep an eye on. We might have another James Robinson type situation building up here in Miami. All right, now let's just talk about start-sit, because I've already kind of teased it enough here. Devin Singletary or Zack Moss, I'm not confident really in either of them. But it's a decision that you probably have to make if you own them, right? This is probably a really good matchup against the Dolphins. So are you starting Devin Singletary or Zack Moss? Are they going to continue to eat into each other's workload here? I went through the numbers. I wanted to see this for myself as somebody who owns Zack Moss in Dynasty, okay? Zack Moss played 45% of the snaps last week. Devin Singletary played 58. Does that math even make sense? Would it be 93? No. That's the thing. As I was going through that didn't make sense to me initially either. So now I'm confused. Wait a second. They ran 2 running backs on the field at the same time, didn't they? All right. So Zack Moss played 45% of snaps. Devin Singletary played 58. Moss saw goal line work. He saw the majority. I saw pretty much all the goal line work here. He had 3 carries inside the 5 and 7 carries inside the 20. I thought that was very, very important to note, right? The issue with, not even the issue, the questions coming in this offseason with Zack Moss were, where are his touches going to come from? Is he going to get that Frank Gore role where he's the one getting the goal line work and Devin Singletary is seeing the work in the receiving game? It really was one of those things where we weren't sure what the utilization of Zack Moss was going to be. We had a pretty good idea, but we really just wanted confirmation in that. So Moss was getting the goal line work, and Devin Singletary was in fact the receiving running back. He had 7 targets, caught 5 of them for 23 yards. The question for me here is simply, which would you rather have? Because I really don't think that there's many managers who have both of these guys. But when you're deciding who to start, I think that's the fair question to ask, right? Even if you just have one of them. Like, I'm asking myself that question this week. Am I comfortable starting Zack Moss in this game, right? He's a guy, again, goal line work. So would I rather have the goal line work guy or the receiving down back guy? And that goal line work is tempting, right? Zack Moss, ironically enough, caught a receiving touchdown versus the Jets last week in week 1. So I'm going to take Zack Moss here. I'm actually playing him this week. My team's battling some injuries, so I am starting Zack Moss. I'm kind of just hoping and praying that he falls into the end zone with one of those goal line touches. I am not playing Davonte Parker. No matter, I'm just not doing it. This Buffalo secondary is really fucking good. Battling back off that hamstring was pulled Sunday, like I mentioned. I'm not playing Davonte Parker. Like, there's just no way. There truly is just no way. I'm looking to go somewhere else. If you're in a deeper league, maybe you try and find a guy like Scotty Miller to play in place of him. If you're in just a normal roster side of the league, maybe you look for Scotty Miller, or maybe just in general you have a better option on your team already than Davante Parker. I have zero interest in playing him this week against Buffalo. Speaking of the Bills, your auto starts for the Bills are going to be Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, and John Brown. Diggs and Brown really cemented themselves as the 1-2 punch as in this offense in the receiving game. This was something that I was really looking forward to seeing. What is Diggs' involvement coming over from Minnesota in that trade? And John Brown played really well last season. He finished as a top 36 wide receiver, and so he's not going to really take a step back. And these two really gel to be a great 1-2 punch guy. A 1-2 punch tandem, excuse me. John Brown's a guy that can really just weasel his way through the middle of the field, or even just straight line it right down the sideline for a deep bomb. So he has that going for him, whereas Diggs is a little bit more of like the technician and more of the athletic profile between the two. And I really like the way that really sets them up. It's kind of in a way very similar to Adam Thielen and Diggs in Minnesota. If you really want to think about it, that might be a reach, but just having two guys with very contrasting play styles, just finding their way to gel together. And honestly, that does up the floor of Josh Allen, who looked to play pretty well last week. He had a damn good game as somebody who's been down on Josh Allen in the past. Seeing Josh Allen complete 33 of 46 passes for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, 14 carries for 57 yards, and a 3rd touchdown. Josh Allen played really great against the Jets last week. All the credit to him for that. Well, you're starting him against this Miami Dolphins defense, most likely, right? Like, you pretty much have to. Any other notes here? You're starting Diggs, you're starting Brown. Just one more note on Brown, going back to that 1-2 punch. Brown had one more reception than Diggs. Like, John Brown legitimately had 10 receptions in that, 10 targets. 10 targets, that's what I meant to say. 10 targets for John Brown. Stefon Diggs had 9. John Brown's stat line was 6 for 70 and a touchdown. Diggs was 8 for 86. Great games from both players. I really like their upsides going forward for the rest of the season. But that's going to do it for my Buffalo Bills versus Miami Dolphins. I'm like, what team am I talking about right now? For my Buffalo Bills versus Miami Dolphins Week 2 game preview. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. We're doing this for every single game before week 2. You can find the link to that playlist right up here. And you can also follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever. I will see you in the next video.